Hi there, Premier. Just to change tack a bit and speak about the end days of where we are at with COVID. With the talk about the convoy coming here to Victoria, having plans to occupy, obviously we're lifting everything, don't know what they'd be protesting, but perhaps they still are. I'm just wondering where you're at on that and if you're content with what you're seeing, the police response, plans being.
Yeah, well, I know Minister Farnworth, responsible for public safety, is engaged with law enforcement across the province, getting updated on what their expectations are. I know here in the City of Victoria, Del Manick, Chief of Police, has plans in place ready to go. There will be no occupation in Victoria based on what I've heard from Del Manick and the City of Victoria. And I would just say to these people, goodness me, get a hobby. Find something else to do with your time. We are removing restrictions at a pace that is consistent with the work we've done for the past 2 years. And 94% of adults in British Columbia are vaccinated. So we are spending an awful lot of time with a small group of people who seem to have nothing better to do with their time but to drive around in circles honking their horns. I wish they'd take some time to watch television and see the evening news about real tragedies and real disruptions in freedom that are going on in Europe right now. Give your head a shake. Find a better way to take your energies and put it to positive outcomes. That's my recommendation, and I'm hopeful that some of the people who were planning to come here will take that to heart and do the right thing. Find positive pursuits for your excess energy.
Follow-up, Lisa? From Belle Puri, CBC.
Hi there, Premier. I just want to pick up on Lisa's question about the convoy. So, I mean, you're pretty clear on how you feel about it, but what's being done to make sure that it doesn't take hold like a similar one in Ottawa?
Well, I think all of us learned lessons from events in Ottawa, and I know law enforcement in Victoria, as well as across the province, is seized of the challenges of people who are set on mayhem, set on not civil and peaceful protest, but disrupting the lives of fellow citizens. And that's not going to be tolerated in British Columbia. It's certainly not going to be tolerated in Victoria, if I understand the direction that law enforcement is going here. So again, my appeal to those who think that there's some benefit to gathering and driving in a circle and making life miserable for people, or camping here at the legislature, you're only disrupting the lives of fellow citizens. We are taking steps to address a public health crisis. You can disagree with us, you can send us letters, you can protest, but then you need to go home. That is how Canadians have historically addressed issues of disagreement. In a democratic society, that's how we need to operate. Occupations and threats of intimidation help no one. And in fact, it does a disservice to those who have valid points of view, who want to make them in the public square and see if they can get support from their fellow citizens. Disrupting the lives of your neighbors, making noise all weekend long, it doesn't help the cause, if there is one, and it certainly doesn't help with tolerance in the community, and we need tolerance now more than ever.
Belle, do you have a follow-up?
Can you expand on what lessons were learned in Ottawa that could be put to use in Victoria?
Well, I think it's pretty self-evident, Belle. I mean, law enforcement now sees what happens when you try to be polite and say, please go home. They were not met with an appropriate response. So instead, after people had dug into sub-zero temperatures, they were escorted off the premises. I know that law enforcement in Victoria, reinforced if necessary, is going to encourage people to make their point and then disperse. That's the normal course of action in civil disobedience. And I don't want to discourage anyone from making their point, but I absolutely want to discourage them from disrupting the lives of their fellow citizens. Your freedom is not greater than anyone else's. And again, turn on the TV, turn on the television, and then maybe you've got something to complain about, but I don't think so.
Next question is from Andrew McLeod.